Well, what an exciting time to be in Parker County, and what an exciting time to live here. It was a year ago that I gave a state of the county address, and I was in office for about 3.5 months. And I did the best I could to really come across. I really had all the answers, and I didn't even have the questions at that point yet, quite frankly. And what was even scary, I remember at the time, it was the day before that I heard my first mental competency hearing, and I'd been in office for even a short time. So this is an opportunity for me, and this is really exciting for me, and even double more, that I've now been in the office for a year and a half. So this is where the rubber meets the road, and I really don't have any excuses to you that I've only been in the office for 4 months. And so this has been an exciting time. Before I go to the first slide and meeting the staff, because I think any leader in any leadership position, and those of you in this room can attest, it really comes back to your staff. And so I want to introduce them, but first and foremost, before I go any further, I want to introduce my wife, Kathy Deen, who, yes, please stand. You didn't stand, but we've been married 34 years, and I can tell you for the last year and a half has been a challenge because of going into a new job. I take it very seriously. There's a lot of things to do. We're going to go into that, and we're going to have fun with this presentation. I want to share with you also, again, before I go into this presentation, I want to introduce two people that have really meant a lot to me as well, is our county attorney, John Forrest, if you would please stand. And also our county commissioner in Precinct 3, Larry Walden, if you would please stand, because I have 27 minutes, and I promise you I'm going to leave a little bit of time for some question and answers, but I want to share a story with Larry real quick. You sit back down, but that's okay. Do y'all all know John Elway? Y'all know who that is? He's retired now. Do you know what his first play was from scrimmage when he first was with the Denver Broncos? He obviously won 3 Super Bowls, I believe. The one thing he did in his first play in the NFL was he came out as very commanding, very tall, powerful individual. His first play from scrimmage was he got behind the guard instead of the center, and then quickly realized that this was a tragic mistake. And so he rapidly corrected that mistake, and I want to share something with you that involves Larry, is that as you come on as a county judge, you have to get the support and work with your county commissioners. You can't do this all at once. You work together as a team. You're only as good as your team. In my first meeting as a county judge, again, I tried to be eloquent with it, had all my notes, and so I go into the commissioner's court and I leave half of my office. So I have no idea what I'm going to say. And not only that, I can't even get the thing to come on, the audio to come on. And so within a couple of minutes, now there's something wrong here. And so the first person that came over to me was Larry and was helping me with that. And I want to personally thank you for that. I want to thank you for the relationship, and I appreciate working with you. At this time, if you would go ahead and go to meet the staff. We have a little fun. I mean, it's obvious that I want to introduce each and every one of these individuals. I want to start with Lily Painter, who is my assistant. If you would please stand. Lily is operational. She does everything on the inner side to make sure that things work smoothly, both with the agendas and making sure that we don't make fools of ourselves, and she's done a great job. She's been brilliant in working with our auditor on our budget, and we'll go into that fairly substantial. But Lily's been an invaluable member of my team. I also want to introduce, which I've spent this morning with 20 cases of probate, and thank you. Kathy Perry, if you would please stand. Kathy is on the judicial side. Actually, about 40% of what I do is judicial, which is hearing mental competency, probate, guardianships, and it's a challenge not to go to the jail and magistrate at the jail. But Kathy keeps us in line with, from a legal standpoint, keeping up with legislative issues and because essentially we're the voice of those that are deceased and we're the voice of those that are survivors. So we take that very seriously, and Kathy's an invaluable member of that, and I really appreciate your help with everything you've done. Even though we were 10 minutes later than what I was, but I'm just kidding. And then most of you know, and I'm kidding with that, and most of you know somebody that has come into my office that's been very special, Stacy Marcourt. If you would please stand. Stacy came from the Eastern Parker County Chamber, and it's just been invaluable, the experience that she brings from there. But she is a valued member and has really brought a professionalism to, as the county relations officer. She was born for that position. She's fantastic, and thank you for that. From these pictures, I picked these personally myself. We work hard, but we play hard. We make sure that we instill an environment that is fun. There's a lot of pressure. We do go through a lot of work. And in dealing with the county issues, working with the Commissioners Court. And so I kind of had a little bit of fun with this, but it's a great group of people that I'm very blessed to work with. I want to go ahead, if you would, go to the first slide with the first year accomplishments. And the theme of this is, and if you look at on the left side is a new logo that we've created, and it's called Parker County Building Our Future Together. And so the first year, and the theme of this is unity. And the fact that we have Tammy Gazzola here at Eastern Parker County, that collaboration, as we go through this, you'll see that theme continue to resonate through this presentation. That from Mayor Paschal, from the city of Weatherford, the relationships we're building. And I won't even try to mention all the mayors. Thank you for the unified approach that we're now creating in Parker County and working together. We have strengthened the relations with our neighboring cities. Again, thanks to all the elected officials in here and helping make that happen with other cities. It's very, very important, as well as, and we'll go through this a little bit more, as well as ISDs, which are becoming an integral part of our future planning as well. We hired, as I mentioned a year ago, one of the goals and objectives I wanted was to hire a full-time fire marshal in emergency operations. We've done that now, and we've revamped our emergency operations process to where if we get into emergency situations, we're prepared for that, and we've done a good job with that. We're continuing to improve that. I was not able to get Sean Hughes here today, who is our fire marshal. We've also, one of the things, and just to make this really simple, adopted effective rate with a reduced budget. What does that mean? We didn't get any more in your pocket. The goal of this is, Commissioner Walden, I'm sure will tell you, because we could take this very, very conservatively. We want to keep your money in your pocket. And so what we did is basically adopted a budget where we didn't take it, even with your escalated property values, and we'll talk a little bit more about this, is we didn't get in your pocket. So that's what that means. We established and implemented the first strategic plan, and what does that mean, really? Where are we today? Where do we need to go? And how do we get there? And so the Commissioners Court went through a series of meetings with a very outstanding individual, Marty Weeder, that helped us understand that where we are today and where do we need to go and how do we get there in a conservative approach, and the growth that we're having today. It's very critical that we make good decisions in how we plan for the future. My role on the Regional Transportation Council is critical because as I go through this, getting federal and state funding that is not in your pocket to deal with these transportation issues that we have is critical. This is a great time in Parker County. You could not be more excited about where you live, but that brings challenge also to us to plan that, okay? If we do not make good decisions today, and if we don't plan and have a horizon out 20 to 30 years out, and even more, then we're not going to be prepared for what's ahead of us and what's already on us today. Establishing a leadership role with water and working with the Upper Trinity Groundwater Conservation District, especially in the western part of the county, because you're in Eastern Parker County here, you have surface water. It's not as much of a problem, but with all the growth that's happening today, you live in a county that is number one in the state with a number of holes being put in the ground, number of wells that's being approved. And I don't know, there's about 17 plats every other week that the Commissioners Court approves. If they meet certain criteria, we have to approve that. And so some of those, again, we continue, and it's by far the number two in the whole state is not even near us. And so we're putting all these holes in the ground. So it's really critical that we have a plan in place for water. It's not the county's responsibility to provide water, but I do think, and the commissioners would agree with me, that it is our job to be the leaders of this and facilitate how we're going to get there and how we're going to have a plan for water. But let's just very quickly just running through those. The court system, you know, whether the 2 district courts that we have and the 2 county court of law courts, 4 JPs, these are all part of the court system. Then we obviously have the sheriff's department that we manage that with the jail. And then also emergency management response, which is what we talked about and re-emphasized the importance of being prepared for those natural disasters and those things that occur. Road and bridge construction, you'll see that itemized on your bill, which basically the Commissioner's Court, one of the key responsibilities they have as chief executive officers of their precinct is maintaining the roads and making sure that we have adequate road system and working with cities and determining what thoroughfare plans and commission combined with the Commissioner's Court. Is also voter registration and elections. We have an elections administrator. Records management with Lila Deacle, who is a county clerk, and also Sharina Gillian, who is a district clerk. Those are the ones that handle that. Indigent healthcare really is more of the hospital district. But if you're incarcerated, which I'm sure none of you have been, then that role then becomes the county. It becomes our role because if you can't go anywhere and if you're not mobile and if something happens, then that cost comes back to the county. And to the tune of roughly between $750,000 a year to $1 million a year. So it's very important that we manage that, but when they're incarcerated and something happens, just so you know and being fully transparent, that indigent health does fall on the county, we do have to handle that. And it has to be budgeted, which sometimes is a challenge because you're projecting what's going to happen and how we manage that. Then family services, we do provide for Meals on Wheels and many others that I won't go into, but we're very family-oriented as a Commissioner's Court. Economic development is one. I have actually a separate one. I'll go into that much more in depth. And then libraries, we do fund and support each of our libraries as we should. I don't want to bore you with an adopted budget with numbers and a boring slide, but the bottom line is that downward arrow that you see, we give cost of living raises. All of you know, in all your businesses, costs go up every year. It costs money to do business more for you to run your business every year more than what it does the previous year. We were actually through conservative measures that we've done is to actually present a budget, adopt a budget with all these increases in cost by being more conservative, looking at specific line items, and even taking it to another level this year. What we'll be talking about is a zero-based budget, and then literally taking it out and erasing out everything out and then just going back and recreating a budget. We were actually able to present and adopt a budget $226,000 less than we were the year before. This one here is a bit unique because sometimes you overproject or sometimes it's a challenge to understand the revenue that you're getting and understand the cost because you have capital projects and these things are sometimes a moving target. The $5.7 million was a fund deficit that we were able to get it down to 2.9 through a very conservative approach to the Commissioner's Court. In looking at these costs, adopting the budget that we have today, even if it's $2.9 million, we have capital projects as critical as we manage growth. So while that is $2.9 million, the reason that number is what it is, when we go back to the adopted rate that we gave, we did that to make sure that we didn't get into your pocket because your property values went up, as you all know. But what we did is basically compromise a little bit of there, understand that we just reduced it by 49%, but we put it at a point where it's manageable now, where we'd probably be able to do more of a balanced budget, which with the revenue that we think with effective economic development policies, we should be able to balance that budget this year, but you can't solve everything in 1 year. Another boring slide, the main thing is look at where the arrows are pointing. As long as those arrows aren't pointing up, it's a good thing. The adopted rate that we have is 0.359 versus the prior 2 years. 2 years ago it was 0.38. But that reflects and offsets what your property values are, which means you're basically paying the same taxes you did for the same services you're getting and even more services because we as a county is managing those resources to make sure that we're not cutting our services but ensuring that we do. And I'll get into a little bit of this in a minute, but number one is the Sheriff's Department, making sure that we're covering adequately on response times. All that, we were still able to do what we did. And that was one of the things I kind of hesitantly, and after I talked about it last year, committing to you that we're going to present you an effective tax rate, not knowing yet what the financial situation was. but yet committing to you that my approach, and I know along with the commissioners that I knew I was going to do business with and work very closely with, I knew how they felt about that. So going into this, I'm proud to say that we actually honored what we told you a year ago, that we adopted the effective rate, stayed out of your pocket, and giving you more services because we're being more efficient, more smarter. Let me rephrase that. Sorry, I didn't mean anything by that. We're making decisions a little bit. We're starting the budget process quicker to make sure that we're going through every line item and making sure it's an essential expense and making sure, and as good as you can be, and I'm sure like with James Hotop, the new city manager, these things are not easy. But to do this and take the time to do it with the resources we have, and Brianna Fowler, who is, I don't know if Brianna's here today, with the new auditor, it's been phenomenal with who we have in the county. So we were able to do that and be more effective. Is that better? Does that sound better? Okay, good. I bordered on that one, didn't I? The 2016 bond that you approved was for $76.2 million. That is progressing as you see the work every day that's being done. That is the Eastern Loop. We're continuing to go through that and get that completed. What I want to drill into, though, also the local partner was $1.8 million, which the city of Hudson Oaks contributed because they had a pass-through project I think got transferred over. The bottom line is they committed to that because of the impact it was going to have from an economic development standpoint. So they also contributed to that. The $35.9 million on TxDOT is what I want to go to the next slide with. What I talk about when I'm on the Regional Transportation Council, it's my job to, not only for Parker County, but for Wise County, to make sure that I'm fighting for, there are about 40 of us on the Regional Transportation Council, and we meet tomorrow, actually, that we're all fighting for the same dollars, those coveted federal and state funds that don't come out of your pocket, although there's still state funds, which we've all contributed to, but we're not hitting you more with another bond or another tax on you. It's critical. My job is to get those funds and plan I think I'm going to say this, to get those funds where it doesn't come out of your pocket, but planning for the future and the future transportation needs of this county, where those dollars are coming from the state and the feds. It's my job to fight for those for you. These are projects that I've broken down, and one of the things I want to really stress here is they're not in one precinct. They represent all the precincts, which is precincts 1 through 4. One of the ones that's impacting is, you see one for $24.29 million, which is FM 51 in Springtown. This doesn't give a full understanding of what that is because that's a substantial number. We're also raising that intersection to make sure it doesn't flood and doing some things that will accommodate the growth that's happening. We have nearly 60 subdivisions in Springtown going at the same time, nearly 100 countywide. The beauty of this slide is these funds are not coming out of your pocket. These are funds on projects that are critical that is being done through the state and through federal funding. That's what my job is on the Regional Transportation Council. And we'll get into that a little bit more as we go through transportation. One of the things here that we haven't done before is to come together in every entity and as we plan for growth to partner with the Council of Governments, TxDOT, Parker County, and every city in this county, as well as the independent school districts, because what we want is to be sure, as we continue to set a plan for growth, it's aligned with ISDs. If they're going to put a school somewhere, we want to be sure it's on our thoroughfare plan. We want to be sure that, because the worst thing can happen is they put a school somewhere and that it conflicts with our thoroughfare plan, and then we have issues of a lack of communication. That will not happen. This site here, you're going to see this if you're going to Fort Worth in the morning, and you're going to see it when you come back to Parker County at 5 o'clock. And honestly, I think it's sometimes even worse than this. I took this picture, and I had a meeting at 8 o'clock in Fort Worth, and I just took a random picture. But this is what, and y'all all, I'm preaching to the choir. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, increasing capacity on I-20 should have been done, and it is what it is. The growth was, I don't think we understood the growth that was happening or had happened, but there's a lot of work to do. The next slide, please. The transportation forum, what we did in this building is fill this room up with participants. It was an open forum, but it was a meeting where we had at that table that you're looking at, the mayors, the school districts, some, and we're going to have another one, just so y'all know. And also, for the first time, the Council of Governments wants and involves the independent school districts as well to come, as well as Chamber of Commerce's to include. We all want to be at the table together as we plan this. We're all in it together. The Chamber brings immense resources, and all the chambers working together has to happen. All the cities working together is happening through a mayor's council that's been developed and created, and they meet regularly once a month. And that has been a successful thing. It's bringing our community together. And the theme of this is Mayor Pascal and I, we have regular breakfasts, and we'll continue to do that and have that mayor's meeting continue, is working together. And we went into that room as one voice. And the achievement of that was that we secured approval from the Council of Governments to review the timeline on the I-20 expansion. That has to happen. We cannot wait 15 years, which is the current timeline that's on there. 15 years doesn't work, and we're not going to wait 15 years. Also secured a commitment to expand Highway 51 North to 4 lanes with a new economic development opportunity I'll talk about in a second. I've got 47 seconds. And to approve a study expanding Bankhead Highway. I'm going to be very quick with this because we have needs for growth. We have internal needs with our court system. In 4 to 5 years, we're going to need another district court. Where are we going to put them? We need a justice center. Yeah, that's a dirty word, but it's going to cost some money to build that. But we have to, because as you saw before, we have an opportunity with the growth that we have to get the resources that we need to keep up with that. The economic development was really the key, and I've got 13 seconds, but I'm going to talk very quick. What is high-wage job growth? And you hear that all the time. Here's a key point. Our population growth is occurring through 2045 at 57%, but yet our job growth is at 25%, so which means about 60 to 70% of our workforce is going east every day. That's putting a strain on our transportation system. That has to stop. Okay, what I can do is tell you this, that for the first time ever in Parker County that we approved, and this was done, there's no way I'm going to take all the credit for this or even part of the credit, because we have people in this room that really helped with this. Pat Fallon, our state senator, Phil King, Roger Williams, also with Congress. They all worked together to secure this, which is about a $1.8 million commitment for this company that's coming. It's not signed yet, but there is a contract for land, and it is on 51. Whereas where a lot of the dangerous areas that happen with wrecks is on 51. Council of Governments has agreed if we can get this, 600 new jobs at an average rate of about 60,000 a year, they will commit to making that a 4-lane highway, 1 mile each direction. And once we do that, we can then begin planning for the whole thing to be that. We're saving lives, folks, when we're doing that. We're working together, but we have to reverse that to bring those jobs and keep them here rather than allow those jobs to go east. That's when we start turning that around, and then we can start getting taxes off your back because we're keeping infrastructure here and not straining our transportation system. Working with the EDC and continuing that, the Economic Development Council has been instrumental with that. Change slides, please. Again, thank you for the opportunity to meet with you. This one's more important, especially important to me because I don't have the excuse of being here 4 months, but I've been here a year and a half now. It's with the leadership that's on that Commissioner's Court. I look forward to a better opportunity to speak with you, better things next year too. Thank you.